that brings us to the discussion of old business. I think we have a few topics on our list.
Right.
You want to start?
Please. So I'm going to pass out a hard copy of the resolution. So every year, the Ohio School Board Association, of which Riverside School Board is a member of, they go out to the member school boards and ask if there's anything that should be updated regarding the platform for that organization, the Ohio School Board Association. And there are a number of things that platform drives, one of which is it drives the agenda for those lobbyists that OSBA hires to go to the State House and work with the legislatures in both the House and the Senate. So the time that they are looking to get feedback for the platform is May 31st, but we're a little ahead of schedule. And last month I presented, just as a kind of a heads up to the other school board members, a platform which focuses on improving parental or really transparency and parental rights. And so it is a resolution. And I won't read the whole thing because it's 5 pages, but I'll try to catch the highlights so that we can, everybody can understand it. But it says, whereas the OSBA promotes and supports reforms that provide for a system of public schools that is accountable to the communities they serve to prepare students to be productive citizens in a competitive global society. Whereas, answering the call to action for OSBA, whereas while the current OSBA legislative platform contains students and learning, school governance, finance, and personnel flanks, there is no plank advocating for parental rights. So what this is I will read this. There's 2 paragraphs, and then so people can get a better sense of what this is about. It's I'm on the 3rd page if you're following along, and it's parental rights. The parental right to know all aspects of students and learning, school governance, finance, and personnel is essential to a thorough and efficient system of public education as guaranteed by the Ohio Constitution and applicable laws. Parents are their children's first teachers and decision makers in education. Student learning is more likely to occur when there is an effective partnership between the school and parents. Greater parental involvement in the education of their children generally results in higher academic achievement, improved student behavior, and reduced absenteeism. By way of example, the OSBA continues to provide state and federal parental right to know laws that continue to foster the principles set forth by the Ohio State Board of Education in the Parent and Family Involvement Policy, as approved July 10, 2007. And then there are 16 points that kind of draw out more detail, but I will not read all 16 points to you. But it's all about parental rights and transparency. And then specifically what this motion, if it passes, would do is the following. Now and I'm on page 5 now. Now therefore be it further resolved that the board president, treasurer, and superintendent shall jointly submit this resolution to the OSBA Executive Director, OSBA Legislative Services Director, OSBA officers, OSBA Executive Committee, OSBA Board of Trustees, and OSBA Legislative Platform Committee members, requesting that the requested parental right to know amendment be added to the OSBA Legislative Platform for immediate review and approval. Now therefore be it further resolved that the board president, treasurer, and superintendent shall jointly submit this resolution to all local, state, and federal elected officials representing the territory of the board. Now therefore be it further resolved that the board's delegate to the 2022 Delegate Assembly shall actively support and advocate for the adoption of the parental right to know amendment set forth in this resolution. And the last one, now therefore be it further resolved that this resolution shall be in full force and effect from immediately upon its adoption by the board. So I know there's 5 pages. I didn't cover all of it. Hopefully you've had a time to go through and see if there are any questions. But I would make a motion to approve.
The motion's actually later in the agenda, so we'll so we can just have discussion now,
okay,
and then we'll approach it at the end of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Terrific.
So I have some commentary on this. First of all, as you're reading on page 5, jointly submitted by the board president, treasurer, and superintendent of this district. The superintendent and the treasurer of this district haven't weighed in on this, nor has our staff, nor any of our administration. I have a problem with that. We're bringing this, and we are here to ask the OSBA to add something to their platform agenda that we have not asked anyone whether or not they have any input on this at all. I have an issue with that. I have an issue with, I'd like to know who wrote this resolution. This is not coming from you specifically, I'm quite certain, because this was written by some law firm, and I would like to know who's behind that, and what political agenda they have in asking the OSBA to have this agenda platform item be even presented to them. To me, is not transparent, and I'm just making that as a statement, so I would like to know who's behind this as an agenda.
Okay, so this was written by McGowan and Markman, which is a law firm that represents a number of school districts in Ohio. And so that's why you can see that it was done professionally and certainly not by me. The point of transparency is not a partisan issue, so I guess I'm a little confused as to what you are pursuing. Are we about transparency or are we not? And certainly, from my perspective as a board member, my goal has always been to make Riverside basically the best value in Lake County, and that is from an academic perspective, from a financial perspective, and trying to create the environment where we graduate students into our society that have respect for the country, have knowledge, have critical thinking, and all the things that I do, whether inside or outside the school, are consistent with that. And so that's your answer.
My opinion on this is that this is coming from some political agenda somewhere, from some PAC or something that's promoting this as there's legislation already, in front of the House and Senate in Ohio that is already addressing these items. I don't feel that that's a transparent answer. When I'm talking about transparency, it's not about parental rights for me, it's about like where this is coming from.
But it is about parental rights. So what do you think of parental rights and knowledge?
Tom, I just don't think that this is, I believe, we haven't even had respectful discussion with anyone in this district about this.
So to your point, everybody was copied on this, the administration copied on this, that was given, it's been available for over a month. There has been no feedback from people. I suspect that they read the emails. So I guess I really am having a problem with you not embracing, frankly, transparency. Because what potential hang-up could you have?
That we have not discussed this with the interested parties in this district. We have not had a work session to have conversation about this. This is something that I believe that at the end of the day, if we are going to ask the OSBA to come across with platform agenda items, that this should be a unanimous decision between staff, administration, and board members, and I don't think that we have that communication yet.
Okay, well, Mrs. Grassley, I gotta tell you, I'm a little disappointed. We've had this for a month. You have not advocated for any of those things.
We have had that, but the rest, nobody else has had.
They did. I sent it out to the Board of Education distribution. Okay, that absolutely has been out there for a month. If you had been uncomfortable with this, I wish you had reached out to me and we could have had a better dialogue, and certainly some of the things you just talked about could have been alleviated.
And I did ask that last meeting.
I don't recall that whatsoever. So, I mean, obviously we can go back and look at the video. But certainly I did try to be transparent. This has been out there for well over 30 days. And when it comes down to it, I don't think that the transparency and parental rights is a partisan issue. So I guess I'm wondering what you have against parental rights and transparency.
I don't have anything against
Then
parental
we
rights.
should not have any problems with this.
Well, I guess I just have a couple questions too, real quick. So how is that law firm introduced, and then how did we come about this particular resolution? Because again, I'm all for parental rights. I mean, I've been involved in the schools and involved as a parent, and I sit on this board as a parent. So I love parental rights. I love when we get participation. So I'm not against parental rights. I guess I'm just like Mrs. Rossi trying to understand how did you all get it, and then how did it fall into our, because we didn't have discussion, or we didn't incorporate our attorney into any kind of discussion. So I guess I'm just some of the same questions.
So, good questions. So what happens is typically when there is something that goes before the OSBA, that would be for the platform committee, there is a single set of language that goes around. And so I have met with people who are consistent with the things that I just said earlier about what I'm trying to do. There was engagement with McGowan and Martin, and they developed this particular proposal.
So I talked to the OSBA today because I just wanted to make sure that I understood what's the next steps and how this all progresses. So they said if we do adopt the resolution and we do send it through, again, it goes first of all to get approval to then be passed on to the OSBA conference for us, and it has to pass by 75%. I guess what I want to make sure is that, even in reading this, one of my concerns that stood out is that, again, all for parent involvement. I mean, I'm sitting here again as a parent who was involved, obviously. I'm all for parent involvement, but I guess my concern is that there's got to be some parameters too for when the parent involvement is not, and maybe I'm not seeing that, or how we protect the other people in the district when parent involvement starts to hinder learning or stop us from accomplishing things that we want to do. So that's where my concern is, and I don't see it in here. And some of the language is very like it's very encompassing. It's all of this, all of that, completely. And there's just a few pieces, and then the other pieces, a lot of this we're already doing, right? So a lot of it we're already doing, like notifying parents of communicating with parents. I mean, we get a ton of communications I see daily, you know what I mean? Right. So a lot of it we're already doing. Some of it I think we're doing, but the wording just makes me nervous because it says all. It's like all encompassing. So what happens if we communicate but every parent doesn't say they received it? Like, I don't know. That's how some of the language reads to me. So I guess that's my concern.
So although Riverside is doing some of the things that we're talking about, this would be, again, the goal of the purpose of the platform for the Ohio School Board Association is to be advocates down in the State House to pass legislation that is consistent with this. So in the end, this does not change our policies at all, right? So this is strictly, so I guess I think in this, there is another layer of engagement, right? So say this gets through OSBA, gets through the conference in November, right, and is approved, then you go to engage the State House, right? And different concerns can be brought up, and there's an opportunity for people to speak when those bills are being reviewed. So that I think there are several steps along the way that could potentially change this in what you're talking about. Some of the issues you addressed, but if we do not pass this, then it calls into question whether or not the OSBA would actually pursue this as in essence, their marching orders.
And I guess I completely understand, but I guess I'm concerned if we give that broader view, does it tie our hands in situations where we need to do something? And we see that today in laws that are passed, right? So sometimes our hands are tied when we're trying to accomplish discipline or other things, you know what I'm saying? And I guess what I'm asking, is there any possibility that we could have discussed this as a board and had something put together about a parent involvement? You know what I'm saying?
So I guess I appreciate your comment, but this has been out there for 30 days. And I guess if there was dissension, not dissension, but if there were questions, I certainly wish that they had been brought up prior to our board meeting to have been addressed. But luckily, this is not due till the 31st. So let us move forward and have those discussions, and we still have the opportunity to pass it before the day.
That's okay. So we do have some time. So is there a time for you guys, anything in discussion or needs?
I was just going to agree with what you said. I mean, I think this is all, as a parent, right? I've had kids in this district for 13 years now, and as all parent, this is extremely broad. And to your point, if it was something that we wanted to do and we drafted with our own attorneys, it'd be one thing, but I also have concern about where this suddenly came from. I'm not comfortable with it.
One of my concerns is, and there's some things in here that make sense, but maybe this is what I think I'm concerned. One of the items is ensure that all parents shall be notified of all instructional materials such as textbooks, reading materials, videos, digital materials, websites, apps used in their children's curriculum. You know how many books we have in our district? So we can make them available if parents ask. But to say that we ensure that we're notifying them of every single piece of instructional material, that's practice.
And
It's just too broad.
I would also like to address the fact that there's current legislation, again, in front of the Ohio State Legislature that is already addressing this issue, and it's extremely politically charged right now. And I don't believe that this type of a platform agenda lends itself to an objective opinion. I think there's some politicalness to it that I don't feel that we should be taking that stand right now. I think I'd rather let it play out in the legislature, and if you have advocacy concerns that you'd like to address, that you can go do that on your own as an individual, but I don't believe that we should be charging in that area at this time.
I certainly agree that we need to approach this in a deliberate manner, and I would advocate for us to have a working session on this, but I guess whether, transparency is a nonpartisan issue, and if there are some issues within the platform that need to be tweaked, I think we can do that. But we are in a politically charged environment. I think there's no two ways about it, and we need to we represent the people, many of whom are here tonight, that we need to take this and try to make our environment as transparent as possible. And that, if that's a partisan issue, then what? That's really quite a statement. So at this point, I would like to move to a working session, and you were talking about the possibility of